Ray Tizzard has made you laugh and you may not even know it, and that may be through a script he's written, or via his right hand, or dressed up on a royal variety performance. And if you don't know him by his given name, then you may know him as Raynard, or even as Joe Pasquale's twin brother. Ray doesn't mind being called names, whether it's Larry the Loafer, Div, Stud Monkey, or Spanner Face, but don't underestimate his talents and his intelligence. The man is extremely funny, and he knows funny as naturally as the Tiger King knows tigers. Ray is a modest and possibly shy performer, but when he's in the spotlight as a character, he's like a moth in the moonlight. What I'm trying to say is that he shines bright up there and never leaves the stage until the crowd is in hysterics. He only enters the stage for one reason: laughter. And once he returns to the wings, he's back on the props or setting up the next scene. He's a grafter, and I love the way people like Joe Pasquale or Brian Conley have given him decades of work because they really see his worth. He really is a comedy treasure in his own right. Saying that, he's also a very good stage manager, and I've had the pleasure of working with him at the Wolverhampton Grand Theatre, where he runs things there very well. If you find yourself backstage at the Grand sometime, you'll have the pleasure of Ray's company. I'm delighted to share his company with you now. So let's delve into his world for the next 45 minutes and welcome to Eyes and Teeth, the unique Ray Tizzard.
How's it going, mate? You all right?
You've got funny bones, haven't you? You just have funny bones. And you can have audiences in stitches without saying a word. And just by an entrance, like Tommy Cooper did, you can walk on and you've got that magic about you that is just hilarious.
Oh, bless you, mate. It's really kind of you to say that.
Well, no, it's just you. You've done it. I love watching you. And when you... Well, have you always worked with someone? Like you've been a sidekick with Brian Conley and with Joe? How did it start for you in the comedy world?
Well, it's really strange for me because we used to have a caravan, my mum and dad, a place called King's on Canvey Island.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid. So in the 6 weeks holidays like now, that's where we would go. We'd go down to our caravan. My dad would go off to work, leave my mum and my brothers down there, and we'd obviously go and do what kids did in holiday parks, which is great. It's a great place to be for 6 weeks of the year. I was really lucky. And through that, obviously just going into the club and stuff, I got to know a few people there, and they asked me when I was 15, because my mum and dad loved the area so much, we ended up moving to Canvey Island. When I was 15, if I was coming and just be like a glass collector, which is what I did. Wow. So I did a bit of glass collecting.
Yeah, I done that. Yeah,
went out there, and then the guy that did the sounds and lights on the cabaret, because we're talking, I'm a bit old, so we're talking sort of 86, 87, so there was still cabarets going on at these places.
Yeah, nice.
And they asked me to do the sound and light one night, so I did a little bit of that, and then it was out when he had a night off, and then he suddenly left, and at the age of 17, they just went, right, do you fancy doing it?
Wow.
And I ended up being the sound and light engineer at this ID camp, and through that, I was really lucky that I got to work with so many great people,
Yeah, in at the deep end.
Exactly.
God.
But, it was Duncan Orville coming down, and Jimmy Cricket, and, and David
brilliant.
Copperfield, who was in Three of a Kind then, and
Yeah.
Gary Wilmar, obviously Brian. Joe wasn't doing the circuit as much then, so it wasn't so much Joe, but that's how I met Brian first.
Oh, okay.
Working at this holiday camp when I was 17, and then the band that backed him, I decided I'd had enough of the holiday camp when I was about 19, and the band that was his backing band at the time was also a resident band at the park, and they said, well, come and be our roadie, which is what I did. So I went out and roadied for the band, setting up their gear, and through that I got a summer season at Weymouth, which Brian was on, and then basically through that, that's how it all started, really.
Really, wow.
Working for Brian when I was about 19, just really lucky, to be fair, and right place, right time, and got on well with him, and that was it. He was at the right point of his career when he was looking for someone, a bit like you did with Jimmy in the early days, like to drive himself about,
brilliant.
Drive Brian about and help him with the props. And
yeah, it's nice to have someone with you, isn't it? I do a lot of work on my own, to be honest. I've never had a roadie, ever. And so unless I've got my family with me, I'm always driving. So it must be nice to have a little pal, like I was Jimmy's little pal for 20 years, and to have that. Well, for 10 years I roadied for him. And it was, it's kind of nice to have someone to talk to after a gig, to talk about how it went, or how bad it went, or how good it went, And
also, it's good to tell, the way I always look at it, and especially more so with Joe, because I didn't do as much writing with Brian. I did some stuff with Brian, but with Joe, it's great because we could then talk about a gig on the way back and bounce ideas off each other, but also we'd always write the following year's gig
on the road,
on the previous year's tour, if that makes sense, because you're driving about and you go, right, what we're going to do next year, and then we'd start. Oh, we won't put that in this year's show. We'll save that till next year's show, and it is nice to have someone to bounce off. And I've never been the kind of comic. I don't look at myself as a comic. It's really bizarre, but I've never been the sort of person. I don't know about going out there on me. And Brian's always said it to me many times, and so has Joe, that I should have a little punt on my own. But it's just. I suppose I've always left that person to bounce on. It's been bizarre.
Yeah, or maybe Raynard needs a spin-off show, so it's your show out on tour, but you need a little sidekick, then you can bounce off someone. Maybe Raynard, get yourself a little dummy.
Exactly. Well, funny enough, I've got my own vent dummy.
Have you? Have you practicing?
It's called Alphonse Pumpernickel. He is.
Well, try doing that without moving your lips.
Exactly. And it was made for me by. Stuart and Jane, bless her, Jane's along with
Sapphire. I know it's Sapphire. I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, and bless them, they made it for me. And he's basically a felt version of me. And that was initially, there is a YouTube video somewhere of me and him doing "You Can Call Me Out," which is quite bad. I'm just miming with him.
Oh, brilliant.
So I could never be a bed like yourself, mate. It's a very rare talent to be able to do what you do.
Well, no, that's just funny. I mean, I was going to do, because Arthur Lager, his initials are Al. I was going to do that song myself, actually, and it's a good fun song, isn't it?
Oh, it's a brilliant song to do with, because obviously deadpan and being a stooge is quite a good thing for me, and that's what I done with it, and I just got Alphonse there and mucked about. But the initial idea was that I was going to do sort of like try and do a kids show with him. Or, just something like that, Raynard's World, it was going to be called.
That's brilliant.
But I never really got this. I started creating a few characters for it, and it was a bit mental. But life changes, doesn't it? And then things sort of, you don't get the time you wish you had. So maybe I should start doing it again there,
Yeah, I guess you just go with the flow. But I mean, there's time now, isn't there, to write, sit there and write. And you are a great writer. So you did write. You wrote for the Sooty show, didn't you? Done a couple of years with Sooty.
Yeah, I did. When it was with Hit Entertainment, I wrote a couple of tours that went out for Sooty's Magic Castle. And Sooty in the Magic One Factory, which was great. I loved doing that. And also I wrote a Rainbow Live show that went out, which was called Zippy Superstar DJ, that went round.
Brilliant.
Did a little tour, which is great. So I've had some good opportunities to do stuff like that, which has been brilliant.
Yeah.
And funny enough, time slipped away from me, but I wrote a sketch for Richard last year, Richard Goodell, who does Sooty now, because he was in Pants at Wolverhampton. So he's asked me again if I get a chance to write a couple of sketches for him, because I love doing that kind of stuff. It's where I love any kind of, everything to me is fun. I don't think there's no boundaries. Everything's funny, but I love doing stuff that make kids laugh and make me laugh, and I've just got that childish sense of humour, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you know what works, don't you? It's
exactly.
Were you is it Larry the Loafer when you worked with Brian? Was you his puppeteer?
Yeah, I was Larry. Yeah, it was Nigel Lithgow, who's Nigel from. He was at the time. He was the producer of the shows before he became head of LE and stuff for ITV. But at the time, he was Brian's producer and director of it, and he used to do Larry. And a guy called Terry Morrison used to do it.
Okay.
On the television, he was a warm-up man for Brian.
Right.
But what happened was, because I started touring with Brian and doing Larry on the tours, Nigel said, "Well, why don't you use Ray on the telly as well?" And Brian went, "Oh, that's a good idea." And they brought me in, and at the same time as doing Larry, I did a couple of Dangerous Brian bits and pieces. I was nearly Dangerous Norris. I was Dangerous Brian stunt coordinator, which is kind of like a forerunner to Raynard, really.
Yeah.
Very similar character.
Right.
So I did a couple of them with Brian, and then through that I did Larry the Loafer. So again, I've just been really lucky in that respect.
Yeah, he's got a really busy right hand.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I actually got like a little nodule on it from doing it, where I got wax so much on my arm.
No.
It's quite funny. Yeah, it's just like build up a calcium. But the ironic thing was 90% of the bits and gags, some of the stuff I'd come up with, and I was really lucky to work with, is a proper comedy legend. And if you ever get a chance to talk to him, you must. He used to work for Bob Monkhouse and stuff like that. There's a guy called Colin Edmonds.
All right. Yeah.
He's an amazing script writer. He's an author now as well. He's got some books out there. You can find him on my Twitter and stuff. But Colin's just such a legend. And through working with Colin, that was one of the ways I learned how to write comedy, if you know.
Really?
Because he was Brian's script editor on the show. And I'd go, I've got these ideas. So I just go with a little idea for Larry, give him a start and the end, and then they'd fill in all the gags and stuff like that. And, I think there was one of them where we had Larry going into business. And at the end of it, obviously, his business went into liquidation, and then Nick puts him in a blender and just blends him, basically. But that was the concept of it. But,
yeah.
And then, and that's, I'm really good at that kind of stuff, but Colin's just brilliant at filling in gags, and obviously worked with Bob for years and years and years. Bob Monkhouse, who was Bob's main writer. So, yeah, I was, again, very lucky and very fortunate to know Colin, and I still talk to him. He's just, a very funny man.
That's nice. I have to look him up. That's a good credential, isn't it? Bob Monkhouse, to be writing for Bob.
Completely. You can't get any better than that, can you, really?
No. Master.
And I think when Bob passed on, Colin got all these joke books and stuff as well. He inherited all of Bob's
he's got them.
books.
Amazing. It must have meant a lot to him.
Eyes and teeth.
I was really lucky in that respect. So doing Larry and stuff was a really good stepping stone. And through doing Larry, that's how I kind of met Joe. I did my first Royal Variety performance with Brian, doing Larry the Loafer.
Okay.
And it was Joe's first Royal, and I think it was Bradley's first Royal as well. Bradley was on there as well.
All three of them? That's amazing.
Yeah, and Shane Ritchie. It was all in the dressing room together.
They're all quite close, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, Frank Carson, all in one dressing room. So for me,
wow,
as this little, I think I was only about 19, 20 at the time. It was just in awe,
mind blowing.
But Brian then went on to say that he wanted to do Jolson after doing his touring and stuff. He decided to go to musicals, and there wasn't a lot for me to do there. But at the same time, Joe was looking for a tour manager.
That's perfect timing, wasn't it? It's like it's meant to be.
I was just so lucky. I was recommended by Hilary O'Neill, who Hilary had supported Brian, and she's a good friend of mine, and she was supporting Joe, and she went, I know just the man. You remember Ray? And he went, I know Ray. And then me and Joe I was only covering for his tour manager for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But 24 years later, I was still doing it,
Wow. That's fantastic. Really, yeah, we love Hills. Hills is brilliant. She always brings people together. I think Joe was there yesterday, actually, round her house. So
was he?
Yeah, in the garden, social distancing, but it's.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, that was nice to see. Oh, fantastic!
He went to visit Wayne yesterday as well, didn't he? He was up seeing Dobbo.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, went to see Dobbo yesterday as well. So no.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we talk to our mates and make sure that all these people that have made us laugh over the years, we need to make sure they're still laughing, because it's comedy, as you know, is like it consumes people, doesn't it? But there's a lot of there can be some sadness behind some great comedy people. So it's you got to make sure that they're all looked after because we need them coming out the other end.
That's what it's about, when I was a kid, it was your Harlan Paces and stuff. And one of my biggest influences as a child was Danny Kaye.
Yeah, wow.
Watching his films as a kid. There's a brilliant film that Danny Kaye did, which when I remember watching it as a really young boy, and it's one of the really prominent memories I had, and it's called Wonder Man. And basically, he plays two characters in it. He plays this mould-make librarian and this guy that works for the mafia. And the one that works for the mafia gets killed at the beginning of the film. But then his brother's ghost comes back and he possesses the body of this mould librarian.
Wow.
So the way he just switches between the characters.
Like a Jekyll and Hyde type thing.
Yeah, Wonder Man it's called.
I've just written it down. I'll check that out. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's a brilliant film. And it's stuff like that got me into comedy as well, and like the usual routes, making people laugh at school. And again, it's just, I've always enjoyed making Joe laugh on stage, making Brian laugh on stage. And I think that's part of it with me is I've always, every time I go out with Joe, it's never been, it's scripted to an extent, but we always go off kilter a little bit. And
I was going to ask you, because I was going to say, was it your goal or Joe's goal for you to make him corpse on stage? Because his laughing always seems genuine. Or was it that teamwork, that genius teamwork between you both to make it look so real? Or was you actually just doing something different every night to get him?
And that's the great thing with me and Joe, and I think that's one of the secrets of good comedy with us, is that we do genuinely make each other laugh on and off stage all the time.
That's the beauty of it.
Part of that, it then transfers over onto the stage, and we bring everybody else into it with us, and that's what I like. And I also get a lot of, I suppose because of the nature of Raynard and the way he is, you get a lot of younger children, which is brilliant, that are really interested in, and it's their first experience of comedy, and and it's the sort of thing they can do. They can do pull funny faces and run around going danger and things like that,
Danger, magic. What's that? What you used to say? Not magic. It was you used to say a word that had me crying with tears. It was just what was it? Magic, danger. The danger one really had me. And yeah,
tomatoes quite a lot as well.
What was the your for Raynard? You was it elastic band or sellotape you put on? Is it very legal gentleman? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an elastic band. I've been doing it for years. Again, it was something that I did off stage to make Joe laugh, and then did it on stage one night as a giggle.
Oh, he didn't know.
We stopped it in later years because I kept getting nosebleeds because I was doing it so much.
No, I was going to ask, does it hurt? Or was it kind of got to?
It did at first.
No.
And after a while, you get kind of used to it, but it did a little bit. But as we always say, if it doesn't hurt, it's not funny.
So you gave up your looks and your pain threshold for comedy.
Yeah, I've got a face for comedy. That's what it is.
Oh, contributional.
I always remember because my teeth aren't the straightest teeth in the world, and I was doing a Dangerous Brian. I've done a Dangerous Brian with John Sachs and his wife, and we're at the bar afterwards talking, and they were saying, "Oh, it was very funny. We loved you tonight. You were very funny." And you came out doing your Nearly Dangerous Nights with Brian, and of course those comedy teeth. And I went, "No, they're my real teeth."
No, oh,
yeah,
joking.
Moments, but
wow. That's genius though. I mean, wow. I mean, you've got great comedy timing, Ray, and when your dance moves, are they properly choreographed when you do those? I watched one yesterday, and one of your live shows, is it Bubble and Squeak or something? And it's just again, you just can't stop crying with laughter at what you're doing to Joe. It's like you're trying to make Joe laugh again, but you're dancing to the music perfectly. Comedy. It's like a masterpiece of like normal wisdom, or it's.
Bless you.
No, is it? Do you choreograph it, or do you just go with it?
No, I don't.
No.
It's really bizarre. It's just one of them things, and it's. I suppose like anything, I could never be me, like me, Ray talking. I could never be that person on stage. It's always I leave Ray in the wings, and then Raynard, when I let him out the cage, just takes over and becomes that person, and it's hard to explain really, but yeah, none of it's choreographed, and I don't even know where half of it comes from.
No,
and it's all right. It's funny at times, but it can be quite inappropriate at funerals, apparently. When you come out,
Wow.
I've been banned from funerals.
I can imagine the laughter at so many comedians' funerals, though. I mean, at a comedian's funeral, you kind of expect to laugh, don't you? You want to laugh with your mates. And there is always, I've been to quite a few, sadly, but there is laughter a lot. And it's genuine, like, he would have wanted this, or she,
completely.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think if I ever, or when I ever pop me clogs, I'm the same. I think I've asked for Disco Inferno, Burn Baby Burn, when the old curtains come round. And I think Brian, actually, he was telling me that he's got false tabs written in his, so as the curtains come around and shut, they open again and then shut again.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But you do, don't you? I think you have to see humour in everything.
Yeah, did you see the show that Bernard Manning filmed before he died, and it was his own funeral, and he's looking down on all of the people at his funeral. They filmed the funeral, and Bernard Manning, I don't know where we could see this, it might be on YouTube, but it's Bernard Manning looking down, said, "Oh yeah, he's only here for my money." He's like, he's talking to all of his guests walking into the funeral going, "Oh yeah, he never wanted to know me when I was alive." It's just a great way of heckling. Great way of heckling your mourners, and they don't know. It's brilliant. I mean, whoever made it might have been Bernard's son. I'm not sure, but whoever put it together, it was a TV show. It was brilliant to watch. And it's sad.
Have a look for that.
Yeah. If I can track it down, I'll send it to you. But I'll let you know. But yeah, I mean, how clever is that for comedy? To actually narrate your own funeral.
That's brilliant. It's such a clever idea, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, did you see that thing in your phone a couple of weeks ago? I think it came out during lockdown. It was this Irish funeral, and there was the guy that had died pre-recorded his voice, and they did you see this? And they put this, they put like a sound recorder inside the coffin and said, right, just turn it on. He obviously had an insider. Turn it on when they lower my coffin, and he's going, hello, I'm stuck in a box. Get me out of the box. Let me out of the box. Is there anybody there? And the place they're outside, they're burying him, and the family stop crying. They all look at each other and they're laughing their heads off. And only an Irish funeral, eh? It's genius.
Yeah. Well, wants to be remembered as well, though, you know.
I know. It's nice to be laughing at that moment. And me and Jimmy Tamley, actually, we said whoever goes first, yeah. And it's not known, you know. He's 20 years older than me, but I could still go first. So we've always said, and we come up with this when I was roadieing for him, actually, in my early 20s, late teens. I said, right, if you go first or I go first, you promise to do let the other box. Promise to do that while it's passing all the people in the church, you know. And I will do it, but he promised he'll do it. And I've told Nina, I said, no, Jimmy's going to do this thing if I do go first. So
Just warning you.
yeah, it's a warning because she might get up and punch him. So I do want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, no one should underestimate your intelligence because you are very intelligent and talented. You're responsible for so many hilarious TV and live on stage highlights.
Bless you, mate. It's not kind of you to say.
No, it is what it is. Do you miss it? Do you miss being on stage?
I do miss it, to be fair. I mean, the last main thing we did was The Price is Right with Joe, and I had such a good time on that because they brought me in as a male model, which was, you know...
That is so nice that you got to do that show as well.
Oh, it's brilliant. And it hadn't really been done before. I think afterwards I then did a bit of it on Family Fortunes. They brought someone who wasn't your typical, you know, male model, because I'm not. But before then, they'd never really done it. And it was, again, the producer, brilliant producer, comedy guy called Dave Morley, who said, you know, and said to Joe, can we use Ryan? And Joe was like, yeah, of course you can. So, you know, me and Joe did these bits together, and it was great. I loved it. And I loved doing all of that, you know, because, again, it just freaked people out. There was stuff where I'd be filming a bath, like a TV in a bath. And while I was in there, I wouldn't tell any of the directors or anything, and I'd just take my shorts off so I was naked. And at the end, when they go, right, cut, I'd get out the bath naked and just walk off. But again, it's just for my own, mine and Joe's own personal amusement and stuff like that. But it's great because then they can get some nice shots of the audience laughing. But yeah, I do miss it, to be fair, and going out and doing stuff with Joe. He recently come down to the ground at Wolves where I work now. Obviously, I work at Wolverhampton Grand Theatre, but he came there and I did a memorial kind of Raynard, come out and did a bit of Raynard. Oh,
that's nice. Reunion.
Yeah. Which is, you know, which is nice. And I would like to go back out and do it again. It's just, you know, the right time. And again, Brian came and did his one man show there, and I came and I did a little bit of Larry with Brian. Which was nice.
Fab.
That's the only good thing about being where I am now. I get to see so many people. And as you know, when you're touring, you don't. It's just yourself. You know?
Yeah.
It's very rare you get to bump into people.
Yeah, you just see the garages, didn't you? The SO garages. Do you?
Exactly.
Has Brian done Wolverhampton Grand, or have you got to do with Panto with him?
He's done his one man show there, and he also brought Barnum in a few years ago as well. He came in Barnum and stuff. So
Fab, brilliant.
It's always nice to see him again because again, his dad was another big influence in getting me into comedy and doing stuff. And, you know, when I first started out, I was this little naive 19-year-old, and Brian's dad got so much time. I had so much time for his kid, you know, and he looked after me. And
right. What does his dad do?
He was a taxi driver.
Was he?
Yeah, but he kind of looked after Brian as well, and he sort of stepped back a little bit. And then when I came in and I was helping Brian as a sort of PA again, a bit like a little tour manager, roadie, if you like. Yeah. But it was his dad helping me do bits, and Colin was such a lovely man. Sadly, you know, Brian lost him a few years ago, but he was such a lovely bloke. And again, it was, you know, so nice, you know, being at that age and getting to work with everybody and getting to meet people like Colin and that, you know. Yeah,
definitely. I worked with Brian's brother, Alan, on BGT, and I think I've done Strictly with him as well. Yeah, he's brilliant, Alan. He makes you...
Alan, I love Alan, yeah. And they're like carbon copy, but with blonde hair.
They're so alike, aren't they? Because I recognise you, and then it weren't till like 10 years into the business I realised who Alan and Brian were together. You know, it's nice they've got that. You know, you see your brother at work.
It is good, isn't it? You know, he's done loads of big stuff as well, Alan. He's in all the main shows now, isn't he? You know, everything.
Oh, he's a legend.
Out there, it's Alan doing it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, with Joe, not just as a stage manager, but because you were in the show as well. You done everything from the setup to props, setting the props and setting the music. Stage managing is not an easy job to do, but you were in the show as well as being very important, you know, to the get in and everything, to the get out. So I toured with Ken Dodd for 3 years, and I saw that Lady Anne Dodd done a lot of really what you do. It's quite hard work putting the show together, isn't it? And setting up.
It is. I mean, I've been quite lucky in the respect that Joe's such a down-to-earth and lovely bloke. You know, that he'd always help on the outs as well and the gettings. And, you know, if it's a busy day for me, he'd set all his own props up and I just help put them away and load the van. But he's always there helping me load or unload the van. And,
nice.
You know, that's what's great with Joe. He's always done that, you know. It's brilliant. And funny enough, it reminded me, we had Sandy Toxford come in and do a show at the Grand last year.
Oh, she's fab.
And it was brilliant. She's great. She just did like this one-woman show, and it was a really funny show. But at the end, it reminded me very much of my days with Joe because she was there helping roll up the carpet and load the van. It was brilliant. It was so nice to see that, you know, because there's, you know, it's one of them industries, isn't it? But not many people do that. But it's nice to have that connection, especially with the crew and stuff as well. You know, it's great. Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. You know, when Joe done some of the Royal Variety performances, did you do some of them with Joe?
Yeah, I've been really lucky. I've done 5 in total.
Wow.
So I've done 4 with Joe and 1 with Brian. So everyone that Joe did, I did. There was a couple that I was a giant. I came out, we did the ball and the head thing. I did that. And then another one of our routines we were out in the car was we were doing a tribute to Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah. And we do the King's New Clothes. And I came out with just a long beard on and my arse out and my bum out first. So,
yeah.
I should put a PG rating on this. My bottom out. And I turned around and bowed to the Queen, but we had to get written permission off Buckingham Palace so I could do it. And I wasn't beheaded for coming out. And I always remember because Nigel Harman was there.
All right.
Nigel Harman was on the show doing, I think he was
a musical.
At the time.
Yeah.
And he was still in the wings. Just before I walked on, he went, "Nice ass, mate." I went, "Cheers, mate." Again, it's just random. You know, sometimes it's funny, you know, the bits.
Yeah, a bit of backstage banter. You know, as long as he didn't like slap you on the cheeks or anything. That's.
No, he didn't do any of that. No, bless him. We'd have to buy me dinner first if he did. But it was just literally, you know, just messing about. You know, but it's nice. You know, again, when me and Joe went, "Should we do it?" We go, "Well, we can only put it forward. They can only say no." So we tried it, and they said, "Yeah, he can come and get his bum out." And I'm like. Right.
Pushing the boundaries. That's amazing.
Exactly.
And did you do the lineup at the end? Did you get to meet the Queen with Joe?
I've never been in the lineup.
No.
But that's mainly me because I'm so. It's hard to because I'm more my work bias has always been more crew based and production managing and backstage and stuff. Sure. I always tend to sneak off with the crew or disappear and do something like that. And I'm never. I get quite shy and stuff. It sounds really bad, but I'm quite a shy person at heart. So anything like that, I go quite shy and, you know...
Yeah, no, that's right.
Let Joe do that. He tends to like doing all that bit, so...
Did you ever have any rituals or anything, like any yoga, praying, have a curry? What did you do before to warm up, or was it just set up and go? Or how did you wind down at the end of the night? Was it a curry?
No, we never... We just sort of... We'd get in the van and just talk about the gig, really.
Yeah,
and
just
before
go.
I went on with Raynard, it's just so many, as you say, because I'm doing the sound and calling the show backstage at the same time, and then one minute I'm a giant beaver, then I'm just as Mozart. I have all my costumes laid up.
Yeah.
It took me about 10 years to realise as well that it's probably best that I wear a cricket box. Because Joe went through this habit of just hitting me with different things. And,
you learnt too late.
I just went, maybe I should buy a cricket box. It won't hurt as much.
See, how many different characters do you think you dressed up as? Because I know you've done Card Shark, The Masked Magician, Raynard.
Yeah.
How many
Raynard,
different...
There's been Amadeus, I've been Giant Elvis, I've been, there's so many. There must be at least 50 or 60.
Oh, brilliant.
And it's just great, though, because every year Joe would go, "I found this great costume for you." Like when he came down, I'll send you a picture of it, but it's me and this, when I went on with him, I just found this random wig, but he went, "Will you wear this?" Because his latest tour manager, Nick, bless him, wouldn't go out and do anything. He wouldn't wear any of the silly costumes because I don't think he had the same mentality as me. But he went... Yeah, would you wear the swimming costume? And it's a lady swimming costume with a picture of Prince Harry. But where his ginger beard is, it was placed in quite a precarious place, shall we say. So I was like, yeah, I'll wear it. So I don't think I have any boundaries when it comes to stuff like that.
No, straight in.
Bikinis and things,
Comedy purposes, though. You just done it, didn't you, Ray? You do it because you knew it was going to be funny, and you weren't just making the audience laugh. I bet the crew were in stitches, but I mean, Joe, it's so nice to see Joe in that comfortable place where he can trust you to bring more laughter to the show, you know, and you're a very important part of them tours, weren't you?
Oh, bless you. No, it's great. And the good thing with Joe is we have such a good quality between us that we can bounce off each other with what we say. And I can go off in a direction and he'll know exactly where I'm going. Or I can say a line and he'll know what line I want to bounce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can just randomly go down a route. It's very rare that I can flummox him with a line, you know. But you probably see him well, but one of my biggest, I think he was, to me, the funniest man alive, was Graham from the Grumbleweeds, Graham Grumbleweed.
Oh, yeah. I only worked with him once, shortly before he passed, but yeah, brilliant.
Him and Robin together, again, such a great team, and it's people like that. Well, I was lucky enough to do a couple of summer seasons with him, and again, off stage, he's just as funny as he was on, and he's just such a naturally funny man, and you look at people like that, and I suppose that's what I aspire to. And also, like Adrian Edmondson, I was a big fan, and I'm a big fan of Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mel, because again, a lot of the young ones and stuff was facial expressive, and before that, they used to do the Dangerous Brothers on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember watching that, and again, that was really funny, because a lot of that was just him going, Dangerous Brothers, which may be where danger came from. I'm not saying that's where it came from, but it may be. But, you know, you watch and stuff like that, and it's just brilliant. And watching Graham work, and again, him and Robin together, they did the same sort of thing. It was making each other laugh on stage, and then you have that connection then with the whole.
Yeah, I remember them. They're Grumbleweeds TV shows, and I saw them in summer season once. They were just brilliant. And Robin's got great legs, and even now in his 70s, and it's embarrassing for us to say that he hasn't got great legs, and
he's got great legs.
He still does shirt, doesn't he, in his 70s?
It's amazing. You know, you watch them work as well. They were brilliant, and it's nice to see that Robin's still out there doing it, and you know, and brought someone else into the fold, and it's still going out as an actor, and they're doing it. You know.
Definitely. I put a show on for Keith Harris just over a year ago in Blackpool, and it's called Eyes and Teeth, and I had probably about 30 acts on. We had the Grumbleweeds, we had the Crankies, and they brought the house down. Duncan Norvell, you know, so many acts that were on, the Simmons, and it was Keith. They were brilliant, weren't they? The comedy duo Alan and Keith, and now Keith's with his son. It's just, I do love comedy double acts as well. But Grumbleweeds, they were brilliant. James was Brandon as well with him, was fantastic on that night. It was one of those last variety shows. I think it's not going to be the same again, because the Crankies now, I think that was the last show they did on that show. But that's when I last saw Robin work. So it's.
No, they're great. Blackpool, what a place to do it in as well, you know. Yeah,
brilliant. Viva, great cabaret place there, I think.
Yeah, I've done it with Joe. a couple of times. Yeah, it's a nice venue.
It's good, isn't it? There's not many places like that anymore. They had Lakeside Country Club and all those where I think Joe used to sell out. Yeah, they were good years.
I know I did. I've been really lucky. I came in at that point, in my young career, because you're watching all these great acts work, and that's where you learn a lot. You trade, isn't it, as well, And
when you were working with Brian, and Brian went off into musicals and acting, and then Joe started to do that now. So I guess, was you ready to leave him while he went off to musicals, or was it mutual?
I think, it was more of a mutual thing, because obviously the touring side of stuff was quietening down a bit, and just to keep me ticking over, I'd go off and do my thing, Joe would go off and do his thing, and then we'd come back together again each year and do our thing, and it was quite nice to have that. Yeah, so I could concentrate on writing a bit more and stuff like that, and it was just nice to be able to do that. And again, there's some others to heaven thing. Again, that spurned from me and Joe. I mean, again, I'm a massive Michael Crawford fan, and it's my favourite sitcom. And again, one of the funniest scenes, I think it's in season 2, episode 2, is when he goes for auditioning for jobs, and you've got to watch it as a fan act yourself. And he goes to audition as a job as a blue coat, and and it's just one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because he goes in there with a gorilla, but with a sailor's head on as a vent dummy.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that clip. It's genius, isn't it?
Marvin the monkey, and it's just again, sketches like that. And Roman Allen, who wrote it, we were really lucky that we got to meet him again, because of Joe's taking some others to have him out as a live show.
I went to opening night in London. Isn't it just a brilliant piece of theatre? fantastic.
So good.
Sorry, were you talking about doing that show sort of years ago? Was it just a conversation that came up about Joe doing it?
I've been talked about it for years, and I think then he got in and did Spamalot.
Spamalot, yeah.
He was doing Spamalot, yeah, and Guy, who's the director and writer of Some Others Do Have 'Em, was working on Joe and that, and I think, again, Joe bonded with Guy, who was very good at what he did in that area, and then from there they both went out and then found a producer to back it, and that's how Some Others came about. But you know, again, me and Joe have always loved that kind of, and On the Buses I'm still a big fan of and stuff like that. You know, I love all them. You know, what you grew up with, isn't it, really? The 70s sitcoms and stuff.
Yeah. I done Panther with Anna Karen, and she's adorable, you know.
Brilliant.
On the Buses. Olive. Yeah. She's
Olive, my love.
she's lovely. She's so down to earth. She came round my mum and dad's about 10 times that season because my dad makes a really good chicken curry. And
nice.
And if you're down here in Eastbourne, I'll do it for you because all the kids have taken the recipe on. But my dad made it for her and her husband Terry about 4 times. She just kept going back. So she was so down to earth. And I remember my mum saying, "Don't." My dad's like he's like Bernard Manning, but without the script, right? He's just he's got like undiagnosed Tourette's. My dad. So you kind of worry when you're introducing him to somebody, and then my mum says, "Don't swear," you know, when Anna comes round because you know she's off the telly and stuff. So and they're coming round for a curry. They sit down, and then she lights up a cigarette and starts swearing and ranting. They just got on like a double act. It was brilliant. And so she started it. So my mum just sort of went, "Oh, carry on. Be as you are, Terry." My dad was called Terry as well. Yeah, but yeah, she was lovely. Anna, bless her.
Oh, it's nice, and it's nice when you get to meet people like that you're true comedy heroes and legends in life. You know.
Yeah.
Ice and Teeth.
Yeah, I mean, and Joe has done incredible in it. You've seen his journey, you know, from doing the comedy shows to the musicals, and doing so much more, like the game shows, TV game shows. But he's just an incredible, and he's never ending, is he? He's never stops doing what he's doing either. He's constant.
And whatever Joe takes on, he does it 120%. Like for example, if we were. I remember times he's got in the car and he's got a guitar and I go, "What are you doing that?" He goes, "I'm going to learn to play the guitar." And I went, "Are you?" He went, "Yeah." And he will. He'll spend 6 months learning to play a guitar.
Yeah.
And he'll play amazing bits on it and then he'll put it in the act. And then obviously he's got his degree in geology now, which he did over 4 or 5 years on Open University while we were on tour. And he's you know, that's what's great about him.
Dedicated.
He just puts his mind to it, he does it. And so I've just been so lucky that I met someone that I got on with so well. You know, I work with so well.
So nice.
To spend that amount of time with him in a car over 24 years, you know.
Yeah, I roadie for Joe once. You know, Jimmy said, "Oh, Joe needs a roadie. Would you do it?" And I jumped at it because I'd just seen them both do New Faces. It's probably 2 years later, and I was like, "Yeah." And he just started to do telly. So Joe came and picked me up, and then went to where was it? We drove all the way to like Rugby. It was, and I roadie for it. I'd done his tapes, and I messed him up. He called me the. What is it? 10 million sperm and you get through sort of thing. I took the cack, and it was one of the just greatest nights I had. You know, I only roadied for him once, but it was memorable. He's such a lovely guy and down to earth. But I can see how hard he worked. You know, but looking at his props when you're setting his props up, they look great and pristine when you're in the audience. But all the gaffer tape and stuff, and that gaffer tape might be all your hard work actually. He makes
quite a lot of stuff himself.
Yeah, taping it all up.
Kind of, you know, we'll do the upkeep on the road, but yeah, you know, the amount of hot glue guns we've gone through is ridiculous. But it's quite grinding for me because then I obviously went on to do a lot of pantos and ASM, and part of being an ASM on panto, some people may not know, is props, yeah, and making props. So to come from that background, they'll go to me, "I need a giant sumo suit," and I go, yeah, no worries, leave it with me. You know,
oh, brilliant!
A day later, there it'd be, you know, just, you know, finding random stuff, and it's always been a, you know, a great art, especially with Joe.
I'm sure he's got some amazing things to say about you, Ray. That's fantastic. So you're now working at the beautiful Wolverhampton Grand Theatre, where you're resident stage manager. You've SM'd some amazing productions, and a lot of them have been for Robert C. Kelly. He brings a lot there, doesn't he?
Yeah, Robert. I've done loads with Robert. I love Robert. Again, he's another guy that I worked with going back about 15 years ago, and he's been so loyal to me. And whenever I've been at quiet periods or he'll always give me a call and say, come and do this with us, Ray. And I love working with Robert because he does some great shows. And again, he's got a great mind for comedy, Robert has, again, and he's, sitting around and listening to stories from him are brilliant. Some of the stuff he comes out with.
Oh, you imagine.
It's great.
I know he managed Keith Harris, didn't he? So
yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of got to know him a little bit through when we lost Keith, sadly. But so the stories he must have would be incredible.
Oh, completely. Again, he's been about for years. He's done a lot of work with Michael Harrison as well. Robert has, So
yeah, kudos.
And it was Michael Harrison that got me in with Robert.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. I think Robert was looking for someone who phoned Michael up. He went, I know the man, and they phoned me.
Oh, nice. It's good to know people in this job that you must have
very lucky again.
Got to know people.
Amazing people.
Yeah. Well, the book by my bedside at the moment is Joe's Dead Knobs and Doomsticks. He's got into writing as well now. So, but would you, because you're a writer, would you start writing books as well? Or
to be fair, I've done a few little bits and pieces that I started looking at, and I came up with an idea a few years ago, and I showed it to a few people, which is one of the reasons I came off the road, was to start doing more writing. But again, it was just finding the time to do it.
Yeah.
And my partner Kerry will kill me because she's always badgering me to do some more writing, and that's what I should do really is over this period while I've got this opportunity is maybe have a go at doing it. But yeah, I'd like to do a book. I've got some silly ideas in my head. I've always had,
Yeah, I mean, even as a children's book to start with. I mean, the comedy mind that you've got, put it into a kid's book, and then go and work on the adults. You could. There's so many different ideas that must be in your head that's dying, itching to get out over the years of experience you've got. But so it must be
badgers,
beavers, and walking sharks. Yeah, I mean, you could do a whole book about all of Joe's props coming to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Living inside the props. Anyway, that's your ideas. It's not my. But mate, it's brilliant. So I'm reading this book. I love my books, but I've been writing a book for about 20 years now on ventriloquists, and I'm just
amazing.
Yeah, and I have used this time really to actually nearly finish editing. So it's going to be a big bumper one, like a toilet book, or what they call it, a coffee table book. Or a doorstop.
Oh, nice. I look forward to having a look at that, mate, when it comes out.
It's been literally my passion, and as you know, my life is ventriloquism and comedy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do something like that. It's something that I'm passionate about as well, but you don't get I haven't got an opportunity to use it much nowadays. So
yeah.
To speak to about it.
You never know when it kickstarts something else, like if your lady's telling you to write the book, I'm telling you to write the book. It might just trigger you to actually, get started or finish something, which is nice. And you kind of use this whole experience really to get things done, shelves.
Yeah, definitely.
Fix the shelves, or
all I've done is decorate,
washing up.
Tidy and clean.
Have you? Yeah. Just keeping yourself sane, really.
Nice one, Steve. I appreciate that, mate. And if you need anything else, just give us a shout. We'll have to have a proper catch-up soon when all this madness is over.
Keep happy, mate. Keep making them laugh. I think people are still laughing from what you've done in the past, so just hold on to that for now.
Oh, bless you, mate. I appreciate that. It's so nice of you to say.
Yeah, no, we love you, Ray.
You have a good one. Love to everyone, mate. I'll speak to you later. Cheers, Steve.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Ice and Teeth.
Thanks, Ray. And I really do hope I get to see his own stage show one day. He's a wealth of comedy knowledge. You can enjoy Ray's work in Joe Pasquale's DVDs. Does he really talk like that? The live show, and Joe Pasquale, Bubble and Squeak. And there are fab clips of Ray on YouTube for you to enjoy, especially Ray Tizzard's Jerry Lewis typewriting routine. Here you can see his comedy timing genius in this 102 seconds of fun. And you can say hello to him on Twitter and Instagram. Today's comedy quote comes from one of Ray's favourites, Rick Mail. Insanity is a very high art form. If everyone was insane, I wouldn't be here. Ice and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Larissa and Nina Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. Ice and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by the one and only Water Rat, Kevin Dean. Tune in next time on Ice and Teeth when I'll be talking to one of the funniest puppeteers on the planet. Not only does he make his own puppets to the highest quality, but he can bring them to life equally as passionately. And he will be bringing a little friend along with him. That is Phil Fletcher and Hacker the Dog. See you then.